Congratulations. You didn't just survive. You passed the hidden spiritual test, and now it's your turn to receive. The test was never announced. It came disguised as silence, isolation, delay, maybe even suffering, but it meant everything. And if you've been through it, it's because something in you made it through the fire. Whether you call it God, the universe, or something beyond words, it has been watching you, measuring you in moments you didn't even know mattered. And now it responds to you differently. Every choice you made to stand firm, every time you refused to betray who you are, it counted. While others broke, you rose. That is why you're here. That is why you're hearing this now. From this moment on, your presence will disrupt the wrong rooms and unlock the right ones. You're not just seen, you're recognized. But before you move forward, there's one thing you were never meant to forget. The real reason your life has always felt heavier than everyone else's. You were marked long before you understood why your life felt heavier than everyone else's. That weight you carried wasn't bad luck. It was a sign. You've always been different. Too intense for small talk. Too aware for the games people play. Your struggles weren't punishments. They were initiation rituals. Each one shaping you for a mission that only you could carry. You were never made to fit in. You were made to remember, and now all the pieces that never made sense are starting to click into place. Every breakdown, every silence, every moment you thought you were being punished was actually preparing you to carry something most people couldn't survive. You weren't being broken, you were being forged. And now the seal is broken. The calling you felt in whispers is about to speak in a voice you can't ignore. You've entered the moment. Everything shifts. But here's the part no one tells you. Once the calling activates, your reality doesn't just evolve, it rearranges itself around you. When you cross this threshold, life doesn't just keep moving the way it did before. It starts to respond to you. The fog that made every decision feel like a blur begins to lift. What felt scattered suddenly makes sense. The patterns, the signs, the people, it all begins to align without you having to push. You'll notice people showing up in your life without you chasing them. Conversations and encounters will start connecting like pieces in a story you didn't even know you were writing. Opportunities, the kind that fit who you really are, will start finding you. The shift didn't come because the world suddenly decided to be kinder. It came because you changed. Your energy moved first. You realigned your core, and now the universe has no choice but to mirror that truth back to you. Your inner reality is finally being projected outward. And this time it's working in your favor. But alignment is only half of what comes next. The other half is what you've just left behind for good. Think about everything that tried to pull you off course. The people who drained you, the endless loops of doubt and delay, the sudden chaos that seemed to hit right when you were making progress. These weren't coincidences. They were tests. Energetic traps designed to keep you busy with what didn't matter so you'd never have the energy for what does. But here's the difference now. You stayed aligned. You stopped feeding the wrong fires. You refused to step back into the cycles that once consumed you. They no longer match your frequency. That's why the chaos feels quieter now, because you're above it. And when you rise above something, it can't touch you in the same way ever again. What once shook you now passes right through. The game has changed, and you're no longer playing on their board. You've been changing from the inside for a while, but now it's not just you who can feel it. Other people sense it before you even open your mouth. Your transformation is radiating outward, and it's rewriting the way the world responds to you. Your presence carries weight now, the kind of weight you can't fake, buy, or pretend into existence. It's the type of energy that walks into a room before you do, the kind that makes people pause without knowing why. Your silence has more impact than your old words ever did. You don't have to explain yourself anymore, because your very being communicates something that's impossible to miss. Even strangers glance twice, not because of how you look, but because your energy feels different, stronger, anchored. Your vibration has become your first language, and it speaks louder than anything you could ever say. And here's the part that most people don't understand. This isn't about intimidation or dominance. It's about resonance. Your energy is now in tune with itself. So, anything or anyone out of tune with you feels that mismatch immediately. Some will be drawn closer, others will pull away. Both are proof of how far you've come. What you're radiating now is the signal that your journey has shifted from survival to embodiment, and it's only going to grow stronger. Something inside you has sharpened. You notice it in the smallest ways. That gut feeling that used to whisper is now speaking clearly, sometimes without words at all. You're seeing through things faster, feeling truths before they're spoken. Your reactions aren't slow or hesitant anymore. They're instant, precise, and almost always right. People's intentions reveal themselves without you having to dig. You find yourself turning away from false connections before they can even take root, because the vibration feels wrong the second it appears. And when something is right for you, it pulls you in like a magnet. You don't need to overthink or second guess because the pull is unmistakable. Your inner compass is no longer clouded. It's locked onto true north. This is the result of clearing the fear, the noise, the constant static that kept you disconnected from yourself. The universe didn't suddenly drop new abilities into your lap. It simply removed the interference so you could hear your own voice again. That voice is your greatest guide. Now, and the more you listen to it, the louder it becomes until decisions feel effortless and the right path reveals itself without you having to search. This is not the season to hesitate. This is not the moment to hold back, shrink, or wait for more signs. You've already been given them. The doors you once knocked on and begged to open were never locked. They just weren't yours. And now, the ones that are already opening, there's a current beneath your feet now, and it's moving with intention. You're not drifting. You're being carried. Not because you're lucky, not because you forced your way through, but because you finally aligned your energy with the direction the universe always intended for you. Whether you call that God, your higher power source, or something greater beyond words, it's moving with you now. Not ahead of you, not above you, with you. You're not being sent into random opportunities. You're being guided into exact placements. The people, places, and decisions lining up now aren't just convenient. They're calibrated. They're vibrating at the same frequency you've worked so hard to find within yourself. And that's the shift. That's what makes this different. Before, you were trying to prove yourself. You were chasing alignment like it was something to earn. But now you embody it. You are no longer trying to make your life fit. Your life is reshaping itself around who you've become. This isn't about blind confidence or reckless action. It's about the kind of quiet certainty that comes when your spirit knows where it's going before your mind catches up. There will still be questions. There will still be unknowns. But the difference is you won't feel lost in them because something inside you is already settled. Something knows. Something remembers. And the more you walk forward, the more you'll see it. The timing, the synchronicities, the perfectly placed moments that remind you this isn't random. This isn't coincidence. This is design. This is what happens when alignment becomes embodied. When you no longer wait for the world to choose you, because you've already chosen yourself, you'll feel the path opening. Not because it suddenly got easier, but because it finally makes sense. And when obstacles do appear, you'll move through them with a different kind of authority. Not control, but trust. Trust in yourself. Trust in the unfolding. Trust in the invisible intelligence that's been walking beside you this whole time, even when you couldn't feel it. You don't need to force outcomes anymore. You don't need to audition for your worth. You don't need to compromise your peace to earn your place. The version of you that used to beg for direction is gone. In their place stands someone who doesn't wait to be chosen, because you finally understand. You were chosen the moment you decided to answer the call. Keep walking. The right doors are not ahead. They're already open, and they've been waiting for you. You might still think this journey has been something private, quiet, internal. A path walked in silence where only you knew how deep the healing had to go and how dark the nights became. You might even believe that all this growth, all this shedding has been invisible to the outside world. But that's where you're mistaken. The truth is, your transformation has already begun, echoing far beyond what you can see, long before you felt ready. Something in you started sending signals out into your environment. Subtle, powerful signals that people around you have been receiving, whether they understood them or not. You're not broadcasting with words. You're resonating with presence. You've become a reference point for what's possible just by being who you are now. People feel it. Some can't name it, but they feel it anyway. A shift in the way you listen, the way you move, the way you simply exist without needing to explain yourself. Conversations change when you enter the room. The energy tilts when you're near. It's not dominance. It's not ego. It's an internal alignment that others can't help but notice. You're showing people what it looks like to be grounded in something real. And for many, that's the first time they've ever seen it up close. Even those who never gave you their full attention before are paying attention now. Not openly, not always intentionally, but quietly from the shadows. They're watching the way you've stopped engaging in chaos, the way you've begun saying no without guilt, the way you carry peace that doesn't beg for validation. They may not say a word, but they're taking mental notes. And something in them is being stirred because of it. And then there are the ones who begin to shift in your presence. Not because you told them to, not because you gave advice, but because you held a frequency they didn't know they needed. Something about you made them pause, rethink, reflect. Something in you unlocked something in them. And that's not small, that's legacy. You've become a quiet interruption to people's inner narratives. Just by existing as you are, you're challenging what they thought was possible for themselves. You're not demanding change. You're inviting it. And that invitation carries more weight than you know. You weren't meant to be loud. You were meant to be unmistakable. The kind of presence that moves through a room like a whisper and somehow leaves everything rearranged. The kind of person people remember long after the conversation ends, not because of what you said, but because of how it felt to be in your field. And here's what you need to understand now. This influence of yours isn't something you earn. It's not something you gain by being better. It's what happens when someone realigns so fully with their truth that everything around them starts shifting to match. You're not changing people. You're reminding them they can change themselves. You're not saving them. You're activating what they forgot was inside them all along. This is the part of your power that's hardest to grasp. The part that operates silently underneath the surface, outside of your conscious effort. But make no mistake, it's happening. People are shifting because of you. Environments are recalibrating because of your frequency. And none of it needs your permission. You are not just evolving. You're shaping the evolution of others. Not everyone can stand in the presence of someone else's storm and remain steady. Most people, when faced with another person's pain, either run from it or try to fix it. They fumble for the right words, offer advice that doesn't land, or quietly shut down because they don't know how to be near something so raw. But you're different now. You've stepped into a rare state of presence, one that wasn't learned from books or taught through techniques. It was earned. Through everything you've endured, everything you've healed from, everything you chose not to numb, you've developed a kind of internal steadiness that cannot be shaken. When pain enters the room, you don't flinch. When someone begins to unravel, you don't try to stitch them back up with quick answers. You stay, you witness, you hold. And it's not because you're emotionally detached. It's because you've been through enough to know that not every wound needs to be stitched shut right away. Some things need to breathe. Some truths need to come out in pieces without pressure to make sense immediately. And your presence offers that rare kind of safety, the kind that allows someone to fall apart without fearing that they'll be left behind for it. Whether you call it God, the universe, your higher self, or something unnamed, that higher force has been shaping you into this, not just for your own healing, but so that you could become a safe space in a chaotic world, a container strong enough to hold both your own transformation and someone else's process without losing yourself in the process. It's why people open up to you when they barely know you. Why they say things like, "I don't know why I'm telling you this," or "I've never said that out loud before." It's not by accident. It's not coincidence. It's spiritual placement. There's something about your energy now. Quiet, but deep, steady, but warm, that tells people, you can be real here. You don't have to hide. And even when the weight gets heavy, you don't absorb it like you used to. Because the difference now is you've learned the boundary between compassion and codependence. You don't need to carry someone else's burden to understand it. You don't need to feel drained in order to care. You found a balance between heart and backbone, softness and sovereignty. And this strength isn't loud. It's not something that announces itself. It's felt, it's remembered. It lingers in the spaces you leave behind. The way people feel lighter after being around you, even if they can't explain why. This is why you were refined the way you were. This is why you were led through seasons that forced you to sit with your own pain without distraction, so that when the time came, you could sit with others in theirs. Not as a rescuer, but as a witness. Not to fix them, but to remind them they were never broken. Your presence is medicine, not because it heals by force, but because it holds still long enough for healing to begin. And in a world that moves too fast, that skips over feelings, that silences grief and avoids depth, you are now the exception. You've become the one who doesn't look away, and in doing that, you've stepped into one of the rarest spiritual roles there is. The role of a person who can stand with others in darkness. Not to drag them out, but to remind them the light is still reachable. There is a point in your journey where the reflection you see in your mind no longer matches the one that actually exists. You feel it in subtle ways at first. Conversations that no longer sting. Memories that once pulled you under now passing through like clouds. You begin to realize that the version of you who walked through all those battles is no longer here. Not because you erased them, but because you have transcended the place they once held in your life. You are not carrying the weight of those years anymore. The pain, the guilt, the shame. The endless rehearsals of what if have loosened their grip. You no longer walk into rooms with the subconscious need to prove you've changed or to convince anyone you are worthy of a fresh start. That need has vanished because deep down you understand something powerful. You've already crossed the line into a new identity. The universe doesn't see you as who you were. It only responds to who you're becoming, and that is why certain doors that used to be locked are beginning to open. That is why situations that once would have drawn you back into chaos no longer have the same pull. You have shifted at a level that cannot be reversed. And the world around you is now adjusting to meet this new frequency. What you once thought you had to earn is simply flowing toward you, because you are no longer standing in the way. There is a deep liberation in knowing that your past is no longer the author of your present. You aren't bound to keep explaining yourself or to live in the shadow of old mistakes. You don't need to filter every decision through the lens of who you used to be, because that person no longer holds authority over your choices. Your life is being written from a completely different place now. A place that is rooted in the strength you forged when no one was watching. The most beautiful part is that your past hasn't disappeared. It has transformed. The same events that once felt like anchors now serve as proof of your resilience. They have been stripped of their power to control you. And instead, they have become quiet witnesses to your growth. When you look back, you may still see the storms, but you now see them from the shoreline, dry, steady, and grounded. This is your moment to walk forward without hesitation, without the old narratives whispering that you aren't ready. You are no longer asking for permission to step into the life you've envisioned. You are claiming it with a presence so steady that the past can't even find a way to follow you anymore. From this point on, you are free to build, to love, and to live without carrying the weight of a story that no longer belongs to you. Your journey is no longer about escaping who you were. It's about fully inhabiting who you are now and who you are still becoming. You thought this journey was yours alone, that the sleepless nights, the questions that wouldn't stop echoing in your mind, the breakthroughs that shook you to your core, all of it was just about you. but something bigger has been happening in the background. Without even realizing it, your transformation has been lighting torches in the hands of others. At first, it's subtle. People you know start asking different questions, not about the weather or the latest distraction, but about life, about truth, about meaning. They're watching the way you carry yourself now. They've noticed that the noise of the world doesn't shake you like it used to. And even if they can't put it into words, they can feel the difference. This is what proximity activation looks like, the ripple effect of your presence. You don't have to lecture anyone. You don't have to push your beliefs or convince them to see what you see. Just by being in their space, your energy shifts the atmosphere. It creates a quiet permission for them to start questioning their own patterns, to listen to their own inner voice. It's not coincidence, it's resonance. They're waking up because your light reminded them they had their own. If you're still watching, I'd like to thank you for your attention. If you enjoyed the content and want to see more, please consider clicking the subscribe button. Your support is very appreciated. Feel free to share your experiences or thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, take care and subscribe for more insightful content.